When I first announced my run for Congress, I had this random white woman, liberal, walk up to me and ask, "Well, what about you isn't Democrat?" To which I responded, "Well, besides my skin color, what about me is Democrat?"
That's a powerful, powerful statement. Again, many white liberals, they mean well, but they have totally boxed us into a political stance as if our color should make us a certain affiliate to a certain party. I'm not affiliated to neither party, but the arrogance and the ignorance of many of these liberals, both black and white, who may mean well, only goes to help continue the destruction of the inner city and the low standard of self responsibility that is prevalent within the inner cities at this point. Allow her to continue.
Democrat. And it was at that very moment that she realized that God gave her enough common sense to ask me about my values. Now, don't get me wrong, I was raised to vote Democrat down the ballot. So when I first started, I would say things like, I'm a Republican, but I'm not a conservative. But now I know all too well I am a full-fledged, hardcore conservative, and I'm proud of it. I mean, my favorite saying is I was born black, not Democrat.
Now, she is a conservative. I don't identify as either. However, I like her talking points and I like what it is that she is expressing. And what we must understand again about what the liberals have done to the black community is lower the bar and actually have the black community depending on them to go argue and beg the government for handouts. What individuals in poverty need and poverty that was indirectly and directly at times created by the government directly due to the policies that they implemented. So there is some responsibility there for this government, but handouts versus hand-ups is a whole different level of responsibility that has to be placed on the individual in order for the individual to pull themselves out of the situation that they're in. Again, if you look at the inner city communities, they have gotten worse since the 1960s. And again, the government had its hand in a lot of these things that were going on, especially in the 80s with the crack cocaine epidemic and them allowing drugs to enter into this inner cities to fund a war in Nicaragua between the Sandinistas and the Contras. So let's get back into it.
In all seriousness, whenever I began to think for myself politically, the choice was easy. I mean, why would I want to belong to a party whose mission is to infringe on the Second Amendment as if a criminal would ever participate in something like a mandatory buyback? Why would I want to belong to and endorse a godless party? Because there is no such thing, and I mean no such thing as a trans child. We have confused children and sick enabling adults.
I like the way that she framed that, although I'm not religious and I don't look at the creator of all existence as a god of a particular religion. I like the fact that she's made it clear there is not a thing in nature unless the organism is born with both the male and the female parts, sexual parts, such thing as a transgender. That's the only biological reality that could fall up under that term is that that human organism is born with both the male and the female sexual organs. And I believe that you do have a few of those situations that occur. But for a biological male, born biologically male, or born biologically female, there's no such thing as transitioning into the opposite sex. That's a made up term. It's not a reality. The only reality that that can exist up under is that organism born with both the male and female parts, then that is and can be a reality. That human organism that is born with the male parts specifically and born with the female parts specifically in that one human organism, meaning that one organism is male due to the fact that it has a penis and testicles, and the other human organism, its counterpart, which is necessary for the survival of the organisms of the human species, has the vagina and fallopian tubes and ovaries and things of that nature. All right. So let's make it clear. So I agree with it 100%. Confusion, along with a lot of hormonal dysfunction, along with chemical castration of certain hormones and the manipulating of things due to the food supply, the chemicals that we are have been abused by and with. I'm talking about all people, that is causing a lot of hormonal dysfunctionality that has individuals who legitimately are homosexual in their sexual leaning, but they will always be their born sex. It is what it is. Let her continue.
Why would I want to belong to a party that takes pride in shedding innocent blood? Number one is that that's not what God hates. Number two is if there's not a black market for baby organs. And number three, as if abortion clinics didn't start in the hood. Because if you think Trump
Margaret
is bad, you
Sanger.
should research exactly who Margaret Sanger was. But speaking of the black community, why would I want to belong to a party who's responsible for the foundation of the Triple K? But it's not just that. Supposedly in the 1900s, the party switched, right? But what never changed, what I noticed never changed, is Democrats' love for immigration, how they have always prioritized that over the black community. I mean, imagine every single Democrat leader helping you joke about what a black job is in 2024, exposing your ignorance on 1924 and how imperative the Immigration Act of that year was, how it was all reversed in 1965 with the Hart-Celler Act, how Congress refuses the advice of the Rockefeller Commission and the Hesburgh Commission, and how to this day they refuse to adopt the Barbara Jordan Blueprint, validating every single thing that Dr. Claude Anderson spoke of generally, but specifically what Mrs. King spoke of in 1991.
Oh, she is cooking. She is deep on both ends of the spectrum. She has a lot going on from her understanding of Black history and great figures in Black history, such as Claude Anderson, and she has her take on also, again, the general history of America. And yes, she is a Republican. Usually these individuals fall along the lines of Democrat or neither. So again, she's cooking, she's deep. And one more thing we must understand is this, that again, immigration, especially illegal immigration, those individuals who are at the bottom of the economic social structure are the ones who will suffer the most. And this is why can't understand. Well, I can't understand, because we've been made super emotional and politically ignorant and economically ignorant by those individuals who represent the so-called Black community in the Democratic Party. They play on emotions. They don't play with facts. And those who are ignorant and stuck in poverty and emotionally stimulated to hate the other party and to lean into victimhood and lean into racism, they just fall for things that are working against them, that are diametrically opposed to their growth, such as illegal immigration. Every poor portion Every poor American person in America should be totally against that, because those who come in, and again, I'm not against individuals trying to enter the country and trying to better their life. I'm against the fact that it's not something that's going to be beneficial for the majority, and there are rules and laws that are in place, so you must try to come legally. But to think about this, those individuals who are at the bottom, who are supporting politicians who want to allow illegal immigrants into the country, or any immigration above what is normal into the country, you at the bottom will be the ones who are being displaced, because those illegal immigrants will work for less, they will work harder, those ones who are not criminally inclined, and will take on situations that you would never take on, but yet you are backing politicians that literally want your replacements in line in order to profit through their kickbacks from the corporations, meaning you are funding your own replacement. You are voting for your own replacement. How ignorant can you be? Allow her to continue.
With her letter to Congress. Now, look, I'm not saying that the Republican Party is perfect. No, nobody's perfect. What I'm saying is I saw with Malcolm X when he said that the liberals were the worst thing that could ever happen to the Western Hemisphere, but y'all ignore that, just like how y'all ignore LBJ saying, and I quote, "I'm going to have Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years, and by God, 60 years later, I see no sign of recourse, but rest assured your vote is your voice."
Ooh, woo, she is powerful. I have to find out who this is. If you're watching the video and you know who this is, please send me a link so I can start to follow her. She's on it. She's on it on both ends of the equation. She's on it through that understanding of Black cultural history, those who really fought for certain principles, but she also is not blinded by the fact that the Republican Party represents the best option for America as a whole, even though Republicans have their issues as well, and many of them. So I really love what she's talking about in her position. She's not blinded by any political title. She's dealing in facts and she's responding accordingly. Love what she's saying.
Even if it is a whisper. Thank you, Council. Mayor Parker, whenever you're ready, you can call your next speaker.
Woo, woo. That's powerful. Have a beautiful day. Peace and blessings.